Welcome, everybody. Before we go along any further, we'd like to open the day in a good way. We had a wonderful water walk this morning and an offering to the river. We were graciously hosted in that water walk by Carol and Miracle, Bear Clan Haudenosaunee traditional woman from Tyendinaga. And now I'd like to invite Doris Lanigan, who's a Métis elder and senator for the Métis Nation of Ontario for southwestern Ontario. She lives in southwestern Ontario. She's from Saskatchewan. Doris will now give us the opening prayer.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. First of all, I would like to welcome the Chief of the First Nations, Dan Kahoko, and the First Nations artists, the Métis artists, the Inuit throat singers, and the music performers, the storytellers, the teachers, the singers, the dancers, and the drummers, and all of our guests. As our Thanksgiving is fast approaching, I will make my prayer today a prayer of thanks for all that is good in this land and in our lives and the wonderful event here today. We are grateful for the progress we, the government, and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, who are trying to address all the outstanding calls to action. They've only addressed 3, I just found out. But anyway, who are trying to address all outstanding calls to action as quickly as the governments do, and for all the survivors, the relatives of lost children, and the parents and families and friends of the murdered and missing women and girls and boys, in order to ease their anguish and find some semblance of peace. We offer our prayers for them today. O Great Spirit, Creator of all things, we are truly grateful for all of our blessings, for our gifts that surround us, and the opportunity for the First Nations, the Métis, and the Inuit, and all the artists who share their creations with us. Thank you for the lovely warm summer we have had and the health, happiness, and joy we so easily take for granted in our peaceful country at times. We thank you for inspiring Mr. Tony Belcourt and his team for hosting this wonderful event to raise money for the artists in this wonderful part of Ontario. On this day of truth and reconciliation, we thank you for the honor of sharing our prayers, thoughts, and condolences as we remember our lost children, the survivors who suffer still, and the grandfathers and grandmothers, the mothers and fathers, and ourselves who have suffered abuse, humiliation, and injury, and the loss of our loved ones. Creator, we thank you for the generosity of the people here in El Monte, for the accommodations, the food, the hospitality, the friendliness of all those who made our art fundraiser a wonderful success, and for the artists in our Kush Kapeo leadership, Tony Belcourt, George Samard, Jason Berg, and all who strive to make the art world so much better. O Creator, give us one heart and one mind as we walk on this journey together in love, strength, in truth, reconciliation, tolerance, and peace. We offer our prayers for all of our people, and we pray for a kinder future. Miigwech.
Thank you very much, Doris. I'd like everybody to know that we have if anybody needs emotional support at any time during the day, we have a quiet area and an emotional support person up on the second floor. Go up the stairs and you'll find that person up there in that area. Doris is going to tell her story later on today, and it's quite compelling about the experience of her family in Saskatchewan with Indian Residential School and the 60s Scoop. This is a great town. the people here in this town are incredibly supportive of Indigenous people. And we have a wonderful group here. It's called Mississippi Mills All My Relations. They've been behind us all the way and very much integral to what we do in terms of reconciliation. I now invite the chairperson of that group to give us the land acknowledgement. Sue Evans.
Good morning, everyone. This is a land acknowledgement that we use at our meetings. I think it's important that every group think about where they are and what it means to them when they write their land acknowledgement. We are located on the traditional, unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe. This people has inhabited and cared for these lands for thousands of years and continues to care for them today. We acknowledge that these lands were once alive with Algonquin Anishinaabe language, ceremony, storytelling, teachings, and song, and that for the past several hundred years, we as a society have been oblivious of the harm and trauma that our people have brought to both the Indigenous people and to this land in attempting to assimilate them by creating residential schools, outlawing their practices, and carelessly exploiting the land for our own objectives. Today we recognize the damage our ways have caused to Mother Earth. We confess, then, that we have destroyed the original trust and friendship that once existed between us, and so we take this opportunity to show our gratitude to the Algonquin people and to this land itself for all that it provides us: beauty and balance, trails for solitude and exploring, trees for shade and birds, gardens for food and flowers, parks for gathering and playing, the river for tranquility and reflection. We accept a responsibility to honor this land as it has been cared for in the past. To do this, then, we seek to grow in our understanding of the truth of our history and to renew friendships with the Algonquins and other First Nations, with the Métis and Inuit people, too, who live in our community, and we invite you to share in this journey with us. Miigwech.
Okay, everybody, you're quite welcome to show appreciation. Thank you, Doris, for that beautiful opening prayer, and thank you very much, Sue, for reading the land acknowledgement. Makwakinikinich nitsikasin matuskagahin ochiniakiate. My name is Tony Belcourt. My spirit name is the bear that leads. It was a name that was given to me by former Ontario Regional Chief Charles Fox. I'm from the historic Métis community of Lac-Saint-Anne, and I've been in Ontario since 1972, so I'm almost feeling like this is my homeland, but, well, it's part of my homeland. The Métis Nation extends not quite to Ottawa, but certainly into Ontario. I consider myself privileged to be living in this territory of the Anishinaabe people, the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people, and to be amongst my own people from other regions in Ontario that you're going to be learning about later on during the presentations. I want to thank all of the exhibitors who've come here. Some have come as far away as from Atikokan on the Minnesota border near Manitoba, northwest of Thunder Bay. We have a great list of presenters who are going to be doing some storytelling and teachings, and we got some wonderful performers. First of all, you heard just a little bit, just a touch of the great talent that we have. Aurora is going to be singing later today. An absolutely incredible voice, she'll just blow you away. Anyway, we may even get her to do a little bit of that later, sometime during the day. She'd jump at any chance she can to get up here in front of that piano and sing. I want to acknowledge and thank the organizing committee. I couldn't do this on my own, obviously, and I especially want to give thanks to our co-chair, Pamela Steele. I don't know where she is. There she is. I'm going to ask Pamela to come up in just a minute to give a proper thank you to our sponsors. Is Dan Kahoko here? I guess he hasn't arrived yet. The representative of the Pikwakanagan First Nation is coming from there, so I guess he must have had problems along the way, but we'll get Dan up here as soon as he arrives. As I mentioned, this is a great town, welcoming Indigenous people. This whole event actually came about because the mayor of Mississippi Mills, Krista Laurie, called me in the spring, and she wanted to have coffee. We went and had coffee in a great little coffee shop here called Ottawa Valley Coffee. And she said, "Are you planning anything this year?" Because I've done buskers events and other things here in town. And I said, "Well, no, I hadn't actually thought of anything." And she said, "Well, the town doesn't have anything planned, but if you're going to do anything, I want you to know that we'd like to support you." And then I thought, well, okay, thank you very much, Mayor. And then George Simard from the new Métis Artist Collective, Kushkupeo, was in touch with me and telling me about the Métis Artists crawls that they're doing throughout the province. And I thought, hey, maybe we could do one here. And so then one artist after another, and I thought, why don't we have performers? Why don't we have storytellers? And here we are. Pam and I came over to visit the executive director of this great museum and said, is there any chance that you might have an opening on September 30th? And he said, well, actually you can have from September 29th to October 2nd. Wow, okay. Now we know we've got space. Let's fill it. And we went ahead to go and do that. I want to give a big thanks to the support that's given to us by this town and introduce our wonderful mayor, Carrie, Krista Lowry. Sorry, Krista.
Don't worry about it, Tony. Well, good morning. Get myself right side up here. Well, I'm deeply honored to have been invited here to take part in this event this morning by community member and Métis leader Tony Belcourt for what's going to be, no doubt, a very meaningful celebration of Indigenous artists on such a very significant day. In 2019, the municipality of Mississippi Mills began taking steps towards learning truth so that there can be reconciliation by collaborating with Indigenous peoples and those who seek to rebuild lost relationships in crafting our land acknowledgement statement. Since that first step, we've remained committed to building and strengthening relationships. We're making ongoing efforts to understand municipal responsibilities in the journey of reconciliation and continue to provide learning opportunities for staff and council. This involves a focus on addressing the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action, including call number 80, recognizing September 30th, today, as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and call 17, waiving the administration fee for commissioning documents for residential school survivors and their families to reclaim their names. This past March, staff and council also participated in a Kairos blanket exercise. It was an emotional and very raw experience, which provided people with new insights and a deeper understanding. The exercise is a step towards Truth and Reconciliation Call to Action number 57, to provide education to public servants on the history of Aboriginal peoples. We remain dedicated on this path of reconciliation, recognizing that while indeed steps have been taken, there continues to be a long journey ahead towards learning and understanding. With both pride and humility, the municipality supports and encourages the growing number of reconciliation efforts occurring throughout our community of Mississippi Mills. We have a valuable partnership with our local Truth and Reconciliation group, Mississippi Mills All My Relations. The municipality was pleased to provide Riverfront Park as the home for the Seven Gifts installation, an incredible collaboration between Indigenous and non-Indigenous artists, led by All My Relations, resulting in a sacred place for both reflection and education. The Seven Gifts is so valuable for our community, and we can't thank them enough for this gift. We're grateful for their ongoing efforts and initiatives like the Canadian Library, a national memorial to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. All My Relations led the local micro-library created through this project, which was installed here at this museum in June. The municipality was also pleased to partner with them on the summer solstice celebration in June with Indigenous dance, music, food, and more. These types of events provide meaningful opportunities to learn and to connect. Honoring the culture of Indigenous people not only broadens our human story, but also ensures we remember a complete history of our community and of our country. Renewing and rebuilding these relationships begins with a full understanding of our shared past. Reconciliation requires facing the truth of the residential school system and its resulting trauma on Indigenous peoples and their communities. It begins with education, which is in part why we're here today. This event and the opportunity to learn directly from Indigenous artists, musicians, educators, and storytellers will be as powerful as we allow ourselves. Tony, to you and the incredible group you've brought together today, thank you for sharing your gifts, your talents, and your stories. And to all those who are attending, I encourage you to participate with open hearts and open minds in all that is offered about Indigenous culture, art, and history today. What's said and what is not said, while we'll continue on this journey of rebuilding relationships today on National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and every day.
Thank you, Mayor Lowry. We can't put on events like this unless we have a lot of support from sponsors. We have two major sponsors that we want to acknowledge at this time. They have provided an incredible amount of support for us. I'd like to call the representative for the Métis Nation of Ontario, Andy Dufresne, who is the regional councillor for this part of the Métis Nation's activities in Southern Ontario. Andy?
Thank you very much, Tony. Before I begin, I would like to reflect on history and the words of Louis Riel. He had said in the late 1800s, "My people will sleep for 100 years, but when they awake, it will be the artists who give them their spirit back." And I truly believe that, seeing what we have today. So that's incredible. It's an honor to be here and I'm surrounded by so many faces and good friends and good spirits. So I wish to this day to be forever embodied in my thoughts and share it with my friends and my family. Good morning to all. To you on this Truth and Reconciliation Day. The Indian residential schools operated in Canada between 1870s and the 1990s. The last Indian residential school was closed in 1997. Children between the ages of 4 and 16 attended these residential schools. Now, reconciliation is about developing an understanding for and honoring the facts of our history. The voices of our First Nation, Métis, and Inuit communities were silenced back then. This led our governments and church-run institutes creating the residential school system across Canada. Many communities, Métis families, Métis children, were affected by these policies. Today, we stand to honor Indian residential and day school survivors. We mourn the children who did not return and recognize the harm that was placed on these children. We must acknowledge and encourage respect for all residential school survivors who continue to experience lasting impacts of residential schools. Thank you for being part of this important day. Your commitment to truth and standing with us on the path towards healing and reconciliation. On behalf of the Métis Nation, I thank you.
Thanks, Andy. I just wanted to say a couple words about the Métis Nation of Ontario. There's some misunderstanding about our historic communities in this province. The historic Métis communities of Ontario are generally around the Upper Great Lakes and out west from there. We're going to hear a lot about, or not a lot, you're going to hear the stories about the Métis communities of the Upper Great Lakes, and in particular Sault Ste. Marie, which is the home of the one a case that Métis took to the Supreme Court of Canada. It's called the Powley case. We have, as do First Nations, we have a lot of people who live in cities and towns that are outside of their territory. We are guests in these territories. We don't have any historic communities in the Haudenosaunee territory, and we don't have any here in this territory. So I just wanted to point that out for everyone. I invite you, if you're interested, and I hope you will be, to learn more about the Métis Nation of Ontario by going to their website, métisnation.org. Our other major sponsor who came forward to offer a great deal of support is the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund. And I'd like to now invite Kimberly Walsh to come forward and say a few words on behalf of that incredible organization. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. As Tony said, my name is Kim Walsh. I work for the Archdiocese of Ottawa, Cornwall. I actually live in Cornwall, just next to Akwesasne, so I'm heading back there this afternoon. 3 years ago, almost to the day, the Canadian bishops created what they called the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund, and all the different Catholic dioceses across Canada have been contributing to it. Here in Ottawa, Cornwall, our contribution, when we're finished, will be $1.2 million. I was the person tasked with overseeing the fundraising, and anybody who's ever done fundraising knows it's very difficult at times, and most people run from it. It's been an interesting and educational experience for me for the last 2.5 years, but I'm also, at the other end, involved with the Diocesan Reconciliation Committee, and what we do is we recommend projects to the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund, which is the national fund. And This is the most recent application that came across our desk in late July. And it was pretty tight, but we got it in there, and we were all so excited, one, to be able to partner with a Métis organization, and also just to fund what, initially I only saw the website, and it looked like such a great event. And I'm so pleased that I'm here this morning, and it's like the website come to life, only better. And one of the best parts of all the hard work of the fundraising part is being able to come and see the fruition and see these amazing events. And I've been lucky enough to go to a few of them. This is the most recent one. As I said, I'm going to one this afternoon in Akwesasne. And it really is, it makes all the other work worthwhile. Certainly all we did was give money. I have to acknowledge all the work on Tony and Pamela and I'm sure huge organizing committee, all the artists who've come, all your beautiful work. Have a great day.
Thank you, Kimberly. I see him in the back. He's always so shy. And come on up here, Michael. As he walks up, I'm going to introduce to you Michael Rickley Lancaster, who's the executive director of this beautiful museum, who has made this all possible for us here and upstairs. And there's an incredible display of the history and all of the machinery that was used in the millworks here in past history. This was the largest woolen mill town in North America at one time. And it's all of that history and knowledge is preserved upstairs and in this man's head. Michael.
Thank you. I'm humbled to be up here and to have invited and welcomed everyone into the space. And thank you, Elder Tony. My name's Michael Rickley Lancaster. My pronouns are he, him. I am a white cis male, which gives me privilege. Outside of that, I am a member of the queer community. Our museum is challenging the way we work. We just finished a process of starting a new strategic plan, and we engaged an Indigenous person to lead us through that strat plan. So now we have a new 5-year way forward that is, and her business is called Inclusive Voices. So in that planning, we engaged with the full community, engaged with Indigenous, Black, people of color, 2SLGI plus community members to build and lead in creating that 5-year plan. We are on the start of that journey. One thing we also stood up for during lockdowns was we stood up against hate in our community. We then became the first Rainbow Registered Museum in Canada for standing up against that hate. And we're not going to stop. We are working with our community members for them to tell their stories and stop us, as our wrongdoings have passed, in us telling stories for people. And the first of those is we just got federal grant funds to do an oral history project to do oral histories of the 2S LGBTQIA plus community members in this county to talk about their identity and clothing. We'll be continuing to do more and more work over time with Elder Tony and others in the community to help tell their stories and their truths. We're so proud of the work we've done to date, but we're so much more proud of what we're going to do to make more change for the community, but also for everyone to tell their stories, because to me, when you say it's a community museum, it has to be the full community. Thank you.
I'd now like to call up our incredible co-chair. I mean, you have no idea how well organized this woman is. She's just blows me away. Always there. Every time I turned around, this is turned out to be quite complex. A heck of a lot more than I thought of it was going to be when I sat down with Mayor Laurie. But with the the incredible organizational talents and help of our co-chair Pamela Steele, I've never been able to pull it off. So Pamela, come on up and say something.
Hello. I would like to thank all of our volunteers. We are a volunteer committee, and so there's the committee that meets all the time on Zoom. Zoom is awful. But the committee is awesome, and everybody does different roles in that. I'm just going to highlight a few people. So we have David Finkel, who's our sound engineer here, but he's also on the committee. We have Ann Noonan, and she's from Pikwakanagan. She's our liaison with Pikwakanagan. Yeah. We have Sheila Grantham. She's from Algonquin College and has been doing communications with us. Yeah. We have Lynn Melbourne. She's a vendor, artist vendor over there. No, it's not a vendor at all. Pardon me. She is not a vendor. She is an artist only. And she's our Elmont liaison. And we have George Samard, and he's our liaison with Kushkapeyu, the Métis Artists Collective representative. And we have the Elmont workhorses. We have Margie Graff. She is the one who's coordinating the school presentations with our presenters who are presenting upstairs soon. She's been amazing and has done so much. She's even coordinated a visit to Fairview Manor with Kevin, one of our performers, a little later this afternoon. She's crazy, crazy organized. And we have Elena Sultana, and she is our social media person. She's young. She knows what she's doing. We also have David Joliffe. He's new to town. He was in publishing, and we made him work with us doing promotions. He's amazing too. He's made sure that we are covered from Kingston all the way up to Pembroke and Smiths Falls all the way this way, and then through CBC everywhere. And then he works hard, and he's retired. Then we have Latice, I think I'm better at that. She is our liaison with the artists and the performers and sometimes the vendors. She is the one who coordinates everything behind the scenes and sends emails to everybody. She's great. And we have Terry Clark, who has organized all of the billeting. So all the artists who are coming from a long ways away, Terry has communicated with them to set up hosts from Elmont, wonderful Elmont residents who are putting them up for the night, last night, maybe tonight too. Awesome. And I have Catherine Pellerin, who's back at the raffle table, and she has taken on the entire raffle schmozzle back there. It's a lot of work too. And we also have a Dennis Morrow who is taking pictures for us for a little book that we're putting together at the end. So lots of volunteers. I'd also like to thank our sponsors. We couldn't do it without our sponsors. We'd have no money to pay anybody. So Tony has spoke about Métis Nation of Ontario and the Indigenous Reconciliation Fund. But we have other sponsors from Elmont. We have, well, first of all, we have the Textile Museum and the United Church in Elmont, both of whom have lent us their spaces to do our screening yesterday and for the performance today. Yep. And then I have a list of sponsors I want to just mention because, like, again, they're our money source. Thank you, men, very much. We have the Elmont Civitans, the Mississippi Mills Municipality, Mississippi Mills All My Relations, the Hub and Rebound, the MaityNation.org, Mill Street Books, Joanne Beaton, she's a local realtor, Ottawa Region Métis Council, the Sterling here in town, Hummingbird Chocolate. Did you guys see in the raffle the big chocolate peanut butter cup? It's huge. Equator Coffee, they're the ones providing all the free coffee. Your independent grocer, Johnson's, is providing the tea and some other supplies. The Hum has given us free advertising through their articles, and the Millstone advertising as well. So thank you to the whole community. We really appreciate your help.